I'm so excited to have you here for this interview I did with Alpa Soni. I came across her while I was kind of digging around looking for information on world events. And I was really attracted to her. I really resonated with a lot of what she was sharing, resonated with her meditation background and yoga perspectives, and also how she was tying it into world events. So as with all of the interviews that I'm about to offer for our community, I just wanted to say I trust that you will hear it with an open heart. And my intention is always to see the light in the humans around me. So that's what we do in these interviews, looking to connect, looking to resonate. I can't say that I agree with everything or disagree or anything. I think in many ways I'm just indifferent, and I'm looking to connect from a heart-to-heart space. So I hope that you will also come to these interviews from that perspective, just from a heart space. Take what works, leave what doesn't, and enjoy your day. Remember, only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Namaste.
Great. How are you, Marie? So nice to connect.
How are you? So nice to connect with you. I'm beside myself.
Yeah, it's so crazy times at the moment, isn't it?
It's totally craziness. And I'm just delighted to have someone that I felt like, wait a second, she seems like she's not totally crazy, but still feeling like some of the things I'm
50
feeling.
Shades of Grey. I wear the title of 50 Shades of Crazy. That's me. Hands up. Because you get called all sorts of names in this quest for truth. And I'm aligning with a lot of like-minded individuals over the last few months where actually our stories resonate, and we're all of the same kind of narrative where what's going on, and then we go down this kind of rabbit hole, and it's like it makes so much sense to me that this stuff that's going on with, say, the children, which I assume that you've been seeing on my posts a lot of, that wow, like that equals bad stuff, and it's all being exposed, but people are fighting over masks and toilet roll in supermarkets. Go figure.
Yeah. I feel you. I think that's the part that I'm attracted to with you too, is that, like, we're going down these rabbit holes. Things make sense. Like, this is bad. Like, there are things that are just not okay that are happening right now on the planet. And a lot of people are talking about it. And those people, though, that are talking about it seem to be demonized somehow as like they're the bad guys. And that's the part that I've really struggled with. And I'm curious to see how you deal with this, because I mean, I'm just really like, I'm so infantile in this community. It just like dipped my feet in, and it really woke up for me because one of my mentors that I've looked up to for a long time, called Marianne Williamson, started speaking about how Q was a dark psychic force. And I was like,
Yeah.
shit, like Q makes sense to me. Like, Q's brought me peace. Like, I love that there's an idea of a movement where there's white hats and there's a military operation here that's taking down the deep state. Like, for me, that's like, hallelujah. Like, let's throw a party. But for my mentor to go off online and really she's got like hundreds of thousands of people that really trust her. And she's saying that. And then it was like, for me, it was like a moment where I think I have to say something. And I did, and I went out on a limb. And I felt like, that was what I was supposed to do. I felt really guided to do that. But then after that, it kind of all got a little funky, in my personal life, in my business, like friends, all of this stuff came out, like, and people were like worried about me psychologically.
Yes, I got that too. I got called radicalized. So a friend of mine, she went as far as to message some business associates of mine because I aligned with like Trump, and it didn't actually happen in that order. Like, it all sort of unfolded very quickly for me in my alignment with Trump. And she went as far as to sort of message some of my business associates to sort of say, that I think Alpa's radicalized. Oh, that's funny. But or that I might have some kind of mental problem. And that really hit home to me, to see the mindset of people and where they're at. And this is very telling. I'm not sure how active you were on social media prior to sort of this, let's call it the Great Awakening.
Yeah.
But I was very dormant, especially on Facebook, you know.
Yeah.
I had my sort of odd pictures that I'd post on Instagram, but I never engaged in any kind of debates, or I'll be honest, Marie, I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in the noise outside in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I shied away from the entertainment fraternity and, you know, the media, the news channels, and inadvertently, I didn't know why. I've been going through this whole spiritual movement within myself for the last 10 years. So it all makes sense to me now that, oh my God, I was actually preparing for this time without me even realizing.
Yeah.
So I, for the last 2 years, have been going through my own sort of spiritual journey. And both, when the lockdown happened, and it was just one link that sent me down the rabbit hole, I awakened very quickly, because my awakening journey on the spiritual side was kind of giving me the armor that I need on this side. So in answer to your question about how I deal with it or how I dealt with it, I think the journey that I had before for the last 2 years gave me the resilience and the aptitude to kind of be able to deal with the erratic behavior of our loved ones, although they think it's funny. Like, what are you doing? My own family, like, Q is just a psychotic cult.
Totally.
I'm like, okay, let's just put this down and simplify it. So it's a cult. Fair enough. I'm open to your opinions. It's a cult that is exposing child sex trafficking and the corruption within governments worldwide. And I'm a psychopath for actually aligning with that. Okay, it's a movement. You know, there's so many things that I've put up on my Facebook.
So much.
That where cognitive dissonance, that word is flying around a lot in the truth community. You know, the cognitive dissonance with the people that we thought we knew.
Yeah.
And Marie, very telling. This is, we're going through. We entered yesterday into the pre-shadow period of Mercury retrograde, and the next 3 weeks are going to go batshit crazy, but in a positive way. You know, we are purging. Yeah. We are purging a lot. Humanity's purging. And think about it this way, you know, the stuff that's coming out from under the tunnels, about the children's stuff. A lot of stuff is being triggered within people, and they don't know why. I've had 8 people today tell me, Alpa, I was up till 3 to 4 last night. I just don't understand it. I wasn't sleeping very well. Well, I just put a post up about the pre-shadow period of Mercury retrograde. So people everyone's going to get a rude awakening, or are awakening by the dozens, by the seconds at the moment. And what we as the awakened beings, or whatever label you want to put it, I'm not really one for labels, but whatever we want to, however we want to put it, is that we have to kind of keep centered within ourselves. Yeah. And I find it testing at the best of times. I really do. But for me, I'm pragmatic. I try to keep as centered as I can, and look, as hard as this is, and try and look at everyone from a place of compassion and love.
Totally.
And you understand that they're just not there. They are reacting to you from the capacity that they know how to. So let me give you an example. I had a lovely conversation with an individual today who also approached me, like yourself, about similar things, you know, how to deal with things at a microscopic grassroots level within your friends and family. And you're hearing things like the children at school almost like suffocating in the masks, and having a kind of a real sense of tyranny within the structure of their day. You can't go and hug them. You can't approach them. They can't interact with their children. Imagine the psychological trauma that these children are going to grow up with, and what's going on in the schools here in the UK. I mean, I was horrified to hear that. And she had difficulty herself within just her family, within like the friends, same sort of thing. Everyone, like myself, I'm over the whole thing, but we have to stay confident and remain certain in this truth. We're not going to get everything right. We're not the messiahs, yeah? But we're here to lead the way for what is inevitable, you know, what's inevitable with this truth coming out. how many coincidences? So your mentor, I'd say, there's nothing wrong with where she's at. She's so hooked in the mainstream narrative
Mm-hmm.
and the academia narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
academia narrative. Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
interesting.
And then they have a pseudo intelligent. I say this so many times. I've said it many times on Charlie's shows, the two Charlie's the shows that I've been on, and it's this pseudo intelligence of, hey, listen, I've mastered everything. I've got this PhD, that degree, you know, and therefore there's a superiority complex. And look, granted, yeah, there's there's so much we get out of education, but just for me, I simplify it. It's another person's narrative that you're aligning yourself to.
Right.
And if we look at it, like this is duality happening. Yeah. You and I have probably done the shadow work.
Yeah.
We've dealt with, for us to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
We've dealt with the muck. I mean, I certainly have. You know, I've had the dark night of the soul. I've gone through so many different things, and hey, we all have a story. So, granted, at the best of times, sweetheart, I have felt absolute pain when it's come to the children thing, and I still have to sort of step away.
Yeah.
And then I question everyone's thought process. I won't use the word moral compass because I don't want to appear to be judgmental. But what are we talking about, guys?
Right.
These are children. We haven't just woken up to say, right, today I'm just gonna like spread news about children that have been trafficked in tunnels in every corner of the world. And it's in these 4 years, is there any coincidence since Trump has been in power?
Totally.
That all of this is being exposed.
Totally.
And we've gone off and done our research. There's documentaries like At the Shop. Why is there just no, why is the poker face? Why is there this cognitive dissonance? It's very telling about where their mind has been programmed.
Totally.
By tele live vision.
Yeah.
By this programming, watching the programs.
Wow.
From the cell broadcasting.
Right.
The news has broadcast. And when you understand, when you follow the money, 6 channels dominate. Sorry, 6 companies,
right.
own and control the media worldwide. Not anymore. Obviously, we know that Trump has got handle of everything now, and this is all playing out. I'd like to think, although in the UK it's getting a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd like to think that too. You know, I think that when we look at the programming and what people are learning on the news and how difficult it is from them to separate themselves from the fact that that might not be the truth, like that you know, cognitive dissonance that everyone is talking about is it's so disturbing for people. And it certainly was for me. Like when I started with David Wilcock. I don't know if you know him. He did David Wilcock in the beginning of this. Like I got in because I was curious about the virus, and I live here in Mexico where it's like it wasn't that big of a deal for us to be kind of going out, and there wasn't a lot of rules around things, and then there was, and now there's not, and it's kind of like a, you know, some people are wearing masks, some people are not wearing masks. It's not that big of a deal anymore right now. But what was curious to me about David Wilcock was that when he said, like, we're going to have some healing to do around Donald Trump, like, I have always been a leftist. Like, I literally got up and almost vomited. I was like, wait a second here. Like, he's the good guy? Like, this whole time I've been programmed to think that he was this orange buffoon and he's the good guy. And I'll tell you what, I was like, I almost cried. I was so grateful because it was like, we can trust somebody. And that's, I think, what's really bumming me out with what I'm seeing on social media with some of these people. They're in my life, they're acquaintances, but people saying just the most horrific things about Donald Trump right now, about how he's putting children in cages and about how, you know, he's the one who, all these people are dying from the virus because of bad leadership, and we need him out no matter what. He needs to be out of office. And I just keep thinking to myself, like, do I need to say something? And that's why I'm attracted to you, because you seem to have the courage to do so. And I'm still like, guys, let's just take it from here. And I'd like your feedback on this. Like, there was a post I think you put on your Facebook page, and it was like, all of the people on Jeffrey Epstein's plane are endorsing the Biden campaign. None of the people on the plane are endorsing Trump's campaign. And I'm American, so I have the right to vote in this election. It's very exciting. And I have a lot of friends that are like really wrapped up in this Biden show. And for me, it's like, I can't even imagine at this point, people really not knowing what Trump has been up to all this time. And
But why?
that's the issue. Like if this is it, and Trump, no, none of those people are endorsing Trump, like just that, isn't that enough?
You know, look, I'm British and I have never been interested in any politics, let alone in the UK, and I didn't even have a clue what was going on in American politics. And I remember when Trump was elected, there was this huge social media frenzy. And I actually remember about to write my two pence worth about this buffoon that I had no reason to call him that. I knew nothing about Trump. I
Right.
didn't watch any reality TV or anything. And suddenly I was about to, like, parrot fashion, jump on the bandwagon about this person. Something stopped me, and this is where I know I'm spiritually aligned. Yeah, and I've been protected in so many things over the years, where I'd written this like whole thing about he's a bigotist, he's a racist, and he's a locker room, blah blah blah, women's right. And I'm like, Alpa, this is not you. You don't know nothing about him. Why are you going with jumping with the crowd? Um, because what is this all about? I had to step back. Something was really pulling me back to align with self and who I'm about, and never follow the crowd. Yeah, if everyone's going in one direction, just like this Black Lives Matter, I will talk about that in a second. But I was just like, it's a psyop, and even like, don't discredit Black lives, and I've got nothing against them, but the actual movement, when you know its core foundation and it's funded by a terrorist organization, no, I'm not going to align myself with that. That's bad karma. I'm a part of this Sanatana Dharma. I know my karma. It's my dharma to do the right thing. Yeah. So whether everyone else is doing it, yeah, I'm not going to go. So just in answer to your question, like everyone's going on this like bandwagon about his hatred. Let's think about it and put it in perspective, right? Why? Where is this coming from? Where is the? I had a lady that she was that messaged me on Instagram, and it's someone that I know for years. And did you support Trump? Yes. But he's a bigotist and racist, I said, according to the news. I just went like this. Yeah.
What else can you do?
Yeah. So let's think about it over the time. 21 days to create a habit, 90 days to, for it to stay. We've had coronavirus this and this many deaths and the inconsistencies with this, and doctors are coming out from far and wide saying how this whole thing's an absolute hoax. You'd think intelligent people, the pseudo-intelligent academic people, would actually sort of understand that, yeah, there's something like, not right here, something smelling off here. But they're not. Why? Because they're stuck and ingrained in the media narrative. The entertainment, it's not just the news, it's the entertainment fraternity, because they use that power. You've got people like The Rock and the Kardashians who have over 130 million followers, and suddenly they clap their hands and say, wear a mask, people, because we're always watching them. Well, I don't follow any celebrity. Not that I've got anything against every single celebrity. No, not everybody's bad.
Totally.
But at the moment, what's being exposed is the people who are the ones that are the most successful, that have the most audience. There is a connection there, and people aren't connecting this. So why were we conditioned to believe Trump is bad? Because for months and months and months, they turned on him. Every single rap song about Trump is there. He was a god when he was a businessman, and when they thought, the American dream was to be like Donald Trump. Right. And look at how the media had the power to just immediately switch on him. That just goes to show how powerful they are.
Wow.
It's all scripted. It's scripted. Let's just look at every channel. There's a lot of people are not going to like me saying this, but there is a lot of Freemasonry connections here, satanic stuff that's going on. And the cabal or the deep state that run the media, we have been hypnotized to believe that these are all conspiracy theories.
Totally. So
that and anyone who supports Trump is an idiot, and is just whatever they say, anti-immigration and anti this and anti that. Think about the credibility of journalism, and this is something that really riles me up. Yeah, you are having front headline pages about the president's hairstyle.
Right.
Why are we not hearing about child sex trafficking?
Totally.
Why don't we know that 800,000 children go missing every year? Where do they go? The corporatocracies of these technocratic firms, the media firms, it riles me up because I feel cheated. And I also feel disappointed in myself that I was asleep here, but I was on my own journey. So when I found out about like shit, Alpha, sorry.
It's okay. I feel you. I like, you're on a roll, lady. Keep going.
You know, profanities is not my style, but every now when I get passionate about this stuff, it's like you've got people saying and falling out with people saying, oh my God, the height of ignorance because you put all lives matter. You just don't know what you're talking about. Really? Really? Because all lives do matter. Yes, Black lives matter, Indian lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter, right? All lives do matter. And you have, you know, I feel very strongly about this, and I couldn't jump on that bandwagon because I know how this was a terrorist funding. No, it's nothing to do with Black lives. You've got,
Right.
you know, the amazing people like Candice Owen, David J. Harris, who are absolutely exposing to the Black community. Guys, listen, this is a load of crap. It's money that's being funded to fund Biden's campaign. Where is the money going? Who is you know, supporting Black Lives Matter? Who are the organizers? Guess what? There's a trail to pedophilia with the main guy. It was in the press. Why do people not understand that? And you say this, that Trump's a racist.
Yeah. It seems to me
But
that people are just having a hard time going deeper, and that's what this is about. This is really about going inward and following the trails. And I think that in a way I've been like discouraged from doing that because I'm in the spiritual community. So I'm not supposed to be like spending my time in, you know, the 3D reality. But for me, it was like, how can you not go there? Like it happened to me with the Black Lives Matter thing. I have with our brand with Rocket Yoga, and basically this guy who's been using our brand for all of these years without being aligned, and it hasn't been a clean relationship. And he called me in the middle of this Black Lives, right when it started going, and he was like, hey, will you promote my Black Lives Matter event? And I was like, first of all, you've been using my trademark for 10 years and haven't said anything. Well, hi, how are you? I said, well, let me learn more about it. Like, why don't you send me more about it? And I said, well, would you like me to offer like a talk or something on the founder of the Rocket? Like, do you want me to talk a little bit like that? And he was like, no, you're white and you're a woman. This is for Black people. And I know that that sounds racist, but and then he started swearing and saying all these things. And I was just like, this is so wrong. Before I knew about like the trail and how it links all the way back to pedophilia and how it's supporting Biden's campaign, before I even knew that, I was like, I literally felt so bad about it. And I had like a serious like emergency. I was like in the hospital the next day. Like my body, it was so much toxic
wow,
energy that it was so intense for me. But it was the indication of
you're an
like,
empath.
yeah, it's deep, but there are people that are, and even like Marie Forleo, who I don't know if you're involved, know anything about her work, but she's a business coach and online personality and has she got really nailed because she said, I don't want to talk about this on my platforms. And then her next few emails were all about asking for forgiveness and hashtagging Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And I just said, something just feels
Oh,
so
please.
wrong with this. It feels so wrong, and I feel so bad because it's like now all of a sudden I'm a racist yoga teacher. Like, how now you're a racist, and I'm like, this is so far from the
I'm a racist. I mean, I've been called a racist because I support Trump. So look, for me, it's mind over matter, and I know it's not so easy for everyone to feel like that because we are also, you know, we want to be around like relationships and connections that are loving and that are, you know, the reciprocity is there. We're engaging, we're connecting. This is going to be a moment in time. And I was speaking about this with a friend earlier on. I said, look, you know, all these revelations are going to start coming out, but we've got a window till 2022. It's not just going to happen all like overnight. It's a bit ambiguous about this 3-day dark day. It was supposed to happen in July and whatever. So I'm not sort of banking on that. It's us, people like us, that have to continue this digital war, this spiritual war that is going on. You know, I've been really attacked psychically. I can tell sometimes
yeah
my energy just goes, but I'm in tune with the energies. So I have to sort of remove myself sometimes from all of this, but there's a real push for me. It's like, doesn't matter, Alpha, you carry on. This is a humanitarian thing. And so my ego is not interfering. My quest for truth is far surpasses whether people like me or not. So I just went out and said it. You don't like me, you're not putting food on my table. It doesn't matter. And as we always humbly sort of say, I always say in my language, Om Namo Shivaya, right? Peace be with you, right? Because I have no agenda to like or dislike. It's not about that. And look at what these movements are promoting. Are they promoting peace? Are they promoting unity consciousness? Are they promoting a sense of togetherness? No, it's riots, it's looting, it's burning businesses and Black businesses. It's causing contempt and hatred. What's that about? Guys, come on, wake up. Let's just think about it. Let's unhook ourselves from the media narrative and come back to self and say, we're all good people. We are. You know, just unhook yourself from that, but it's not their fault as well. And I'm not defending these people. I'm coming from a place of understanding and no judgment, because I want to, my ego gets angry and I get frustrated. And I'll give you an example. I got berated by a mask wearing journalist who works for the BBC. And I put a post, I shared a post about like, you know, the Wayfair scandal and the whole Amazon scandal where the children were being trafficked online. You're familiar with that? It's just disgusting. I mean, there was so much going around social media. And then I saw this article and, you know, it was about children that were rescued from the port of Melbourne. And there's so much going on around that. And something happened. So I was operating from a point of like, I reacted. So I put on my post, which I'd always think before I do it, because what is my motive? So what I ask, I want people to wake up and realize, okay, maybe we didn't understand it, but now we do. Because most of the emails and everything that I'm getting is out there, you know what? Thank you for opening up our eyes. So I want to employ that kind of level of consciousness myself, right? But on that occasion, I just thought, I don't get it and I won't get it. People just within a click of a finger supported this whole George Floyd thing, put memorialism out over him and made him into this martyr, into this hero for, you know, 50 counts of convictions of various things, such as beating a pregnant girlfriend. So let's put this in perspective, and I've said this many times. Let's just think about this, right? We've made a hero out of somebody. I'm sharing information about children that are trafficked in tunnels. Granted, we haven't seen it, but the same applies for the whole George Floyd thing. For all we know, it could have just been an act. I'm not saying it is, but we're trusting the media because we think the media is telling us the truth. Right. But here I'm sharing an article about children being abused, raped, sold on this whole Wayfair scandal. And this BBC journalist said, can you please stop spreading this nonsense? It's from unverified sources. It's just doing so much harm to the child, charities that are actually trying to do something for child sex trafficking. I'm like, this is coming from the BBC, who hid the scandals of Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris. It only got exposed after they died. I don't know if you know who they are. Really, like, yeah, Jimmy Savile was one of the worst pedophiles in the British. It came out afterwards, but in the British press, that we only got breadcrumbed about his monstrous things that he did to kids. So I was attacked because I'm sharing that, and it wasn't from credible sources. So my whole thing with that was that, wow, people are so hooked on the media narrative that unhooking them has become an arduous task. Yeah, totally. It's becoming I ignored it. I didn't say anything. I just thought, wow, to see where you are, you're a part of this establishment, you're institutionalized. Right. With the corporatocracy of the label that you carry, that you think you're superior because you work for the BBC. Everyone hates the BBC right now in the UK now. They're beginning to, right? Yeah. And the main guy is associated to raping his daughters. The guy who runs the BBC, I forgot his name now. There was a big protest about it a few weeks ago, which I went to in the UK, exposing the BBC and their links to the whole pedophile movements. And I'm not saying the people who work for there, like, they're unaware, but this is how blindsided people are. So where you're saying, like, people from all walks of life that you're having to deal with, they're going to discredit you aligning with Trump, let them. Yeah, my stance on that is very simple. It's okay. I'm aligning with my truth. If you think that that's true for you, let's have some respect, between each other. Yeah. Because I'm not going to support like crazy riots and people looting and burning and destroying other people's businesses. I'm not going to align myself with where people are not talking about this stuff with the children and all these celebrities who are telling you to wear masks, which is absolute nonsense. Let's just apply some basic biology here. Yeah.
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 Dr. Zach Bush talked a lot about the mask business. And, it's interesting because I have even, someone close to me in my family said, oh, well, I know 10 people in the last month that got the virus. So we have to wear masks now. Like 10 people got it because they all went to a funeral and then everybody there got it. And it's deadly. I mean, how do you respond to that? For me, it's like, because there's one part of me that's like, this is such a hoax. And then someone close to me says, well, I know 10 people that have it, or I work in a hospital, or
what happened to them? What happened to them? What happened to these 10 people that had it? Like, did they die?
Not yet, no, but some of them were in the hospital, some
You
of them
die? Like, it's like, no, it's nothing more than a common cold. And we are getting enough material online and everywhere. Like when there was a mass sort of hysteria in the press about so many people are dying, and later to realize that the images from Italy were the same of another country,
yeah.
a hospital in Italy. I mean, guys, if you can't see that and you still want to go on what I call the government talk, really, like really, it's meters apart, it's the social distancing. This is a language that's been cultivated because they've brainwashed you. They keep talking about it on the news. You're bombarded with that, so you're talking in government talk.
Right.
Recently, a friend asked me, she said, Alpa, what happens when you wear a mask? Like when I traveled some few weeks back to Italy, and she said, did you wear a mask? And I said, no. So what did they say at the airport? Nothing. I just casually walked in, like rolled into the airport. Can you please wear a mask? I just went, no.
Wow.
And then the way I said it was, the lady was like, yeah, I probably maybe got lucky. I just said, look, you have to wear it. I said, who says you have to? The government. I said, but can you prove to me it's like correct? And I just don't think she was even in the mood for that conversation. But I just, walked in and just said, no. The lady sat next to me on the other side because I was sitting by myself. She said, excuse me, can you wear your mask, please? And I went, no. She goes, but can you wear it? And I went, no. I didn't even enter into an argument. I just said, listen, I know you're well-meaning. Yeah, I know you're well-meaning and you think that, but let me look after my health and you look after yours.
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything. But it's not going to be easy every time because people are not going to react that way every single time. I understand. But look, I don't put myself into positions like that so much, but I totally hear you when you say that these are painstakingly frustrating situations that we can end ourselves up with because of the schools, the children, you're interacting with family. For me particularly, I think everyone knows that where I stand now, and I've just made it very clear.
Yeah, you did a good job with that.
You say, I send you love and light, anything. Do you need a hug? Come here, give me a hug. I'm gonna give you a hug.
Wow. Yeah.
You have to just employ like common sense, and I think that's we're losing sight of that because there's fear. Fear has been etched and embedded into them. This is like it's their psyche. It's a psychological warfare.
100%. 100%. I have felt such a it's psychic. It's like I can feel the energy. And even with a friend recently, like who I was sharing information, like initially with her, because she was like, oh my gosh. Because I think what people want from the Q movement or from the truth community is the hope. They want that this is going to end. They want the information that there's actually good guys, like that this is going to land in a good place. And so that's where I started with my community, not mentioning Q or Trump or anything. Well, I started a little bit with Trump before I even knew about the Q thing, because I was like, this is just getting ridiculous because everybody thinks it's okay to be bashing this guy, but nobody knows him. Like none of the people bashing him have ever even had a cup of coffee with this guy. How could you say that you have any idea who this person is? Not only that, all of us have a home to run. You know, there's a lot of things going on in our houses. There's a lot of agendas. Like everybody has, they want this for dinner. This one wants to go here. But like this guy's running the White House. Think about the agendas in that house. So when he says something that we don't understand, it doesn't mean that that's a proof of he's a total, you know, whatever. It's like, let's just try and broaden our perspectives here and see that there might be more going on here. But the reason I'm bringing this to you is because I think that people wanted the hope. And so I started sharing, like I was sharing Charlie Freak stuff, and the interview you did with Charlie Freak was fantastic, by the way. He's such an incredible source of knowledge, and he just like got so much, and he's going in all these different directions. And I love,
Yeah, we were going off on many tangents that day. I
yeah,
was like skipping.
yeah,
It
you
was
did
just
a
very
really,
excitable, highly energized show. That was brilliant.
yeah, he's brilliant. I really like him, but he says things
Great.
that really trigger me. Like, but I know that the triggers are teachers. So I'm like, okay, well, where am I holding? Where am I attached? Is this true?
Absolutely.
You know, but most people on the planet are not going that deep. That's why I'm saying that if you're this is going to be so much harder if you're not willing to look at why am I responding in this way? And so when I
Yeah.
was sharing this stuff with my friend about Q, and she was like, this is fascinating. And then there was that 10-part documentary that this woman from the Netherlands had done. And it was so deeply disturbing. Like just the
All of the
pictures.
cabal.
Oh yeah. Not Charlie Freak's takedown of the cabal, but it was like a video. And
No. All of the cabal. Yeah, by Janet Osborne.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Thank you. I had sent that to her, and she came back to me like, this is just Trump propaganda, Marie. This is like Stalin. This is like, these people are crazy. They say that the earth is flat. Like, she came back at me with so much fear, and she was like, look at what they're saying about Q on Wikipedia. And I was like, Wikipedia? Like, you
Left
saw,
brain. Very left brain.
yeah, like you saw pandemic, like, but she couldn't go there. And then it became about, like, became very personal. And I wish I could say to you that I was as strong all the time as it seems that you've been, but I really have had since then even more dark nights of the soul. Have been like, God, have I really, like, did I go off the deep end here? Like, I have a dear friend and sister who's like, Marie, you have got to stay in the light. Like, people want to hear about the love from you. They don't want to hear about the Q movement. Like, it's too far right. It's too crazy. We don't know what's going on in the world. We know there's evil. Like, you know, just don't go there. And I really started to question myself, like, did I make a mistake here? And I think I shared with you that I had a potential investor like pull so fast. She was like, I don't want to touch this with anything. Like, I've got all these people involved. I've got my reputation. Like, you're talking about a far right conspiracy theorist. And now that what's that word? Conspiritualist. I was on
Yeah,
the
the
list of, like,
complicit theorist or something like that.
yeah, spiritual
Complicit.
people that are getting turned on to the Q movement, because I think we are tuned into the hope of it, because we know that this has been the human story since the beginning of time, that like our separation from our source has been our problem. Our belief in our separation from source takes us into this dark journey of competition and trying to get what we can from each other. And then we treat children with and women, and we have no respect for each other because we don't respect our true nature. We don't respect who we are and where we come from, and that being our essential problem. So my fear
100%.
in my head is that that's why I'm involved. I'm like, well, wait a second here then. And A Course in Miracles teaches us, which I'm a deep student of that material, that the thinking of the world is 180 degrees away from truth. So it's like, this seems to be, to me, from where I'm sitting, that this is now, we're exposing this in a big way. We're saying, look, guys, this is how far we have been from truth. And people don't want to go there because they have to deal with the pain that you and I know how to deal with. You have to deal with it. You have to let it move through you.
Yeah, you're purging. And, that's some really good points you've raised there, Marie, because it's, you've been thrown off balance a little bit when your friends or your work colleagues have kind of questioned you and like have made you kind of question yourself. Great. But when you realign with self and truth, is there not a gnawing feeling that, no, I need to continue with this because this is so wrong what I know. Let's take away the Q movement, right? Let's just say, because I didn't come into this, like, I just used discernment. And I ask everyone to really go inwards. That's one of the things, in lockdown is my favorite. If you can't go outside, which we couldn't, go inside. Let's go inside and let's make peace, and let's have a look at what's going on here. And all the things that you've been met and people questioning you, and then making you think, oh, am I going nuts here, or am I going crazy? I went through all of that, but I was so I was so much in faith with source, and the reason being, faith in God. I have God first for me, my parents, and God first for me, and I've aligned with my values, my value system, my belief system. But what are people's belief systems and value systems today, Marie? Let's look at it. Let's break it down. It's media and entertainment. Yeah, we're believing the Kardashians over and above God. And no disrespect to them, like no disrespect to anybody. I say this from just a lateral point of view, that we have society have learned to worship celebrity over and above God, to worship what we know now, the false narrative of these alleged successful entrepreneurs like the Bezos, the Zuckerbergs.
Right.
Now, when you go deep down that rabbit hole,
So
when you go, it is so upsetting to know that actually we are sort of inspired and motivated by these alleged successful business people that actually, like Richard Branson as well, and Bezos and Zuckerberg, that actually not really that story isn't actually true about them. About the Facebook.
I know
story.
about Zuckerberg, and they were with Epstein on the island, and there was a lot of that. There was
all a part of the cult. Yeah.
Say again?
It's all a part of the cult, right? The Illuminati or the deep state, these people, you've got to look at the bloodlines. The issue that we're having here is that people haven't gone off and done their research. They've become lazy. So they are just expecting the news to feed them, which has been a part of the MK programming culture. That's been a cult from the 60s. The operation from the CIA to kill a mockingbird. I think it was called Operation Mockingbird.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Which had projects to manipulate the minds of people. Sorry about that. I just had somebody come in.
That's all right.
So what we're dealing with, people that are so in cons with the hookings of the media and celebrity and not to self. We're not taught about spiritual health. Okay, we're taught the academic route, and now let's look at the let's make sure that your health is your wealth. But let's look at health as well, and how we've been taught about the health. That side of ourselves. It's only now people are beginning to realize, having a healthy diet, but in its entirety, not just your 5 a day. It's the way it's been marketed through advertising and all of that. So we are like, the thing about the steps and exercise. Let's do 1 step, 2 step. We're gonna depend on a watch and the system to say, right, I'm healthy now. I've done my steps for the day.
It's such a disconnect from self. And I think that's like when a lot of the people in the truth community are saying, go inward, do your research.
Go inwards.
Do all
and the spiritual health is not, sorry to interrupt you there, but this is where I was considered batshit crazy, because I would always talk about numbers and my alignment with energies and, this whole woohoo spiritual kind of babble. It's like a new fad. No, it's the stuff that I actually started understanding, which is one of my favorite words at the moment. I got so many things from an inner plane, and I struggling to articulate it and vocalize what I actually could feel and sense. We're gifted with a sixth sense, all of us are.
Totally.
Our pineal gland is so calcified, like we decalcified and never get it the right way around. that through fluoride, through chemtrails, through all the chemicals that are entering our system, through the aluminium deodorants, through the chemicals in our products that we're using, we are just hit from birth.
Totally.
The vaccines, the this, the that, they get us at birth. And when I used to be, I've been a vegetarian my whole life. And in the last few years, I don't eat anything with a face or eggs or whatever. I don't like calling myself vegan, but I'm plant-based or whatever you want to say. I try not to have anything I'm very strict about eggs, for example. But if there's a little bit of dairy in something by mistake, I'm not going to go crazy of having it. But it's interesting is what you put in is
Totally.
in your body, is how it's going to permeate a certain energy about yourself. Totally. Now, I have nothing against people, whatever they eat, but it's so simple for me. And this is where everything is much more like this awakening, everything is much more clearer to me. And let's think about people who are not. They're having the terrible diets with the sugar, with the fluoridated water and the toothpaste and all the carcinogens that they're having, the aspartame, the chemicals in their food. They're not really like eating a lot of the frozen foods with all the additives, preservatives, the MSG, all of this stuff. Over time, you're becoming numb and dull, so that you're almost actually a real bait for the media, because it can just easily start controlling you without you even realize. It's the subliminal programming.
Yep.
When you can smell horse crap from a mile away, which my gut is the inner antenna, it's our superpower that we all have, we're gifted. Totally. And this is the point that you make. We have disconnected and become desensitized to source. Totally. But for me, I used this analogy with a girl today, and I said from the age of like 3, I always visualize this, and it's very powerful. From the age of 3, I always visualize myself having a candle in my belly. Yeah. It's like this flame that was just always flickering in life. And through all the sort of tumultuous times, through the kind of hardships that I had, the flame was going batshit crazy. But wasn't ever it was really like almost being like really tested to be put out. And that light was constantly shining. And that was my connection to source. And I've always held on to that.
Beautiful.
And unfortunately, we are robotic in the way we address God, go to the church or go to the temple, let's do this because this person said so. We don't question things. Yeah. We use all these, what I called organized religions, to dictate how we think and we feel. And I've always been someone that questions everything. I was the most annoying person for my mum.
Me too. I'm a questioner.
Hi, Mum.
I'm a questioner too. But I think that's what I shared too in one of my videos, was like, let's just ask yourself why. Why are there chemtrails? Why are there GMOs in the food? Why are there billions, and why does people like Gates and Zuckerberg and Soros, they have billions and billions and billions of dollars? If they had billions of dollars and their intention was love and goodness, there wouldn't be hungry children now. But their intention, the alignment to where they were using their money was wrong, straight up. And we're allowed to say that because that's just a fact. That's not made up. Like taking your money and going to shoot up children in far off places with vaccines does not support the world in becoming heaven on earth. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with sustaining this kind of dark robotic culture where people are not questioning. And the minute you start to question, you become this rogue, like crazy person, conspiracy theorist person. And it takes a lot of continued and deeper education within myself to be able to say, okay, look, I'm just going to start having conversations with people that are aligned. And I think that, and tell me what you think about this, I think that humans, because essentially it's my belief that we're all one, right? Namaste consciousness, that the light in me honors and bows to the light in you. And we're actually one. It looks like you're there and I'm here, but we're in this thing together. So that we want to connect to each other. Like we yearn for it because it's like such a deep desire for us to feel connected to each other. We want to feel the love. We want to be able to trust each other. But because we've been so trained since the minute we got out of our mother's womb, or maybe even inside there, there are moms nowadays getting vaccines for whooping cough I mean, what that just, I mean, there's just so much that we want to connect to each other, so that when we do connect with people, like, let's say we're of like mind, that the other people that are not like-minded are just like, it seems to me that they go through this shakedown process where they just reserve, they just go back into their what's comfortable, what's familiar.
Easy.
Say again?
It's easy.
It's easier, but that's the thing that I think I was teaching before this whole pandemic situation and all of this, was that the minute you do go in, there is some discomfort. There is a little bit, because you have to realize that you have subscribed to things that you didn't realize were, you know, not of the highest. You have to accept that about yourself. You have to go through that process. But the hope is that love always wins. At least that's what I believe. I mean, love is going to
Love
win.
is the highest currency.
Say again?
Said love is the highest currency. That was the title of my book. Love is the highest currency, not the dollar
I
or the
love
pound.
that.
Love is
Is that
love is
published?
the book's in my head,
Oh,
and
good.
I'm copywriting it. No one can steal that.
No one will. It's
But
beautiful.
you're right. It's absolutely spot on, Marie. I think that, you know, we 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 do strive for those, you know, the sense of connection, but we need to understand that those connections come from a place where we are aligned with self, and those connections can then be authentic when we are coming from a place of, you know, real acceptance of self, and, you know, having done the work within. And I look, I sit here, and as I talk to you, and it's, yes, I'm confident in, you know, with the aligning with this truth and with this movement, but it took me a while to get here. You know, I have had the trials and tribulations in life that saw me through the dark night of the soul, where I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I didn't even have any idea about what was going on in the real world, like what I know now. And I don't think that, had I been exposed to that, or had I known, I wouldn't have also been mentally equipped to deal with that, because I was dealing with, you know, in my spiritual path, I understand. And I actually realized that this was my script, and I came here to learn this, learn the journey to self. But where people are at the moment, you know, and I observe, you know, the variance within people, it's just how removed they are from self, just by the social conditioning, and being desensitized by their environment. And because, you know, the sense of the group mentality, well, our neighbors and all of us, are we all going to be in this cliquey kind of, you know, let's all be together because it feels like really safe. And we go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, we're kind of like, what does he say right at the top? It is love. It is that acceptance. It is that belonging that we yearn for.
Mm-hmm.
And the misfits like myself, that have had, like, you know, just been different, that question like the existence of like stars and everything, and just daydream in life, that you kind of like shunned from your group, or you're like the different one. It's equipped me to, but for today and what's going on now. But I grew up with a lot of like feelings of like, why am I so misunderstood? Why am I different? Where is it? You know, and I faced all of those things, which had an impact on my psychological makeup. And but, you know, I had the aptitude and the desirability to want to work through that. And I always have that kind of attitude, one of gratitude, as corny as that sounds, but, you know, the fact that I just wake up every morning and that I'm alive. But I haven't felt like that all the time. I felt like, you know, question myself. You know, we all go through it. But when you live in a polarity where you just like look in one way, we can't. This is society. We're either like here demising ourselves against other people, or looking up at one sort of, you know, polarity. But we need to synthesize the two equalable like polarities, and neutralize the charge that they have on us, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So we're all here. We're like yo-yos, right? So what this has all taught me in my journey is that with this movement that's going on, the Q, the Trump, the Friends, the, you know, the this, the that, I've worked inside. I'm going inside, and I don't get it right all the time. You know, I have my moments. I don't get everything, and I have to understand that there is healing in wounds that I also need to, you know, work on. Now, I believe in past lives. I'm not saying that everyone does, but I believe in past lives. And, you know, we can be triggering things for us without even knowing from past lives.
100%.
And we are not taught about our spiritual health. And this is where we get shunned, or the spiritual people get shunned for being the tinfoil hats, or they're a bit woohoo, the tree huggers, the weirdos, like, because you can't quantify and qualify things with statistics and data, because they want to move towards AI and artificial intelligence. So they want us to get into that bot-like mentality where they completely separate us from our higher selves, and teaching that. And this is where yoga comes in. I do yoga, like I meditate. Yoga is the relationship to self. It's not these fancy yoga poses. I love, I'm not the most flexible person. Like, I struggle with some pain on my back, and I'm really working with that. But for me, yoga is a way of life.
100%.
It's calibrating breath, and I don't get it right. So the teachings of yoga that I've tried to evolve in my spiritual journey, Marie, is that, and I have a lovely Kundalini yoga teacher, Evie, who has really helped me recalibrate my essence, my thinking. And I always come back to self, and it's like, am I operating from a place of love and compassion, or is this egocentric mania, Alpa, that you're getting, like you're reacting? How am I reacting? So unfortunately, most people, without sounding judgmental, operate from the ego. They know how to react.
Totally.
They come from a defense. I've done it. I'm also guilty. Hands up.
Totally.
The arguments that I used to have with my mom. Yeah, she's like, but Alpa, I'm just your mother. I'm just we're defensive because you've wounded me in something, or we've got some kind of childhood wound or whatever. But we're taught not to be vulnerable.
Totally.
We're taught not to be vulnerable. We're taught to suppress, even in this modern Western age that we're living in. Yeah, like it just baffles me in how people are so desensitized to themselves. So that's the
bottom line. I mean, but I think you touched it perfectly. I mean, that is the problem that we have, is that we are desensitized. And so when I say to someone who wants to pull out of the business, well, what about the children? And they're like, they don't feel it. It's because they're blocked into it. And I think that what people like you and me are responsible for is starting to shake out and wake up our feeling bodies, to wake up our inner compass, to align and to open ourselves up to new information, like to say, you know what, I might not know why Trump is doing that, or I might not know why
that could be wrong,
or I could be wrong about this. And I mean, but I will ask you this before I know we're at the top of the hour, but I want to ask you this. Like, I heard something, I think it was Mark Devlin who said, if this is all a farce, it was something with Charlie freaking Colleen, like, if this is all a farce, it would be the most, like, the sickest joke played on humanity ever.
Absolutely. It would be. I actually, it's weird you say that to me today, because I said this to again, friend today. It's weird, and I said that let's just put it in perspective, right? When we hear something on the news, we have to say, well, were we there? Yeah, we don't know. When we read our books of history, and we are relying on credible information, because it's got the institutionalized stamp from a professor who's got a PhD, whatever, and he's telling us. But let's put it in perspective. What is it? It's just stories, another person's version of a story. Yeah. And then they can apply the theory and the science and the this and the that to it, like about history and what happened in the wars. It's other people's accounts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have to employ discernment here and understand that, okay, this could be wrong. Like you're just saying, like the cube, it could be wrong, and it could be a very sick joke. Yeah. And I'm open to that. I have even put one of my posts that if I'm wrong, I'll put my hands up. But I'm aligning to a movement that's not actually advocating hate and contempt and war. And it's actually, I'm supporting a guy who's done 3 peace deals. Yeah. He's done the most to end child sex trafficking. He hasn't gone into war with anyone, and there's so many amazing things that he's doing with regards to, the medical fraternity, with the med beds, and everyone's taking out of context some of the ways he says this. And this is what I find a bit frustrating, that, okay, he's talking in code and could you know that we're trying to decipher, but it's also antagonizing people even more.
Totally.
So, you know, while we want people to wake up, this is my frustrations with the whole thing. Yeah. You know, I try to be sort of balanced with my kind of opinion here, or my sort of train of thought, that I get also why people are getting riled up with the Q movement. I'm not saying I'm not supporting Q. I'm not saying that you know, these people are right, but like there were so many things that were coming out. You know, like just trust the plan. Yes, you have to trust the plan. I trust God, and that's the plan for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The plan for the salvation of the world is the plan.
my plan is trusting the plan that man or God source, yeah, has. So, and I'm observing all the things that are happening. I try not to get too consumed. There's the Nasara, there's the Jasara, there's the children's stuff. There's so much going on. The global financial reset. There's a lot of information that's thrown at people. And can you imagine that we ourselves find it overwhelming? For the people that are not awake, it's very difficult for them.
Totally.
To waken, to actually even digest and take on what's been thrown at them.
Totally.
So I do come to the conclusion that you have to always operate from a place of compassion, but your patience does get worn thin.
Yeah. It reminds me, you know, in the Course in Miracles, it says that we're patient because without anxiety, because we know that the end is sure. Like we know that love is all that's real in the end of all of this. And that's
and this is great times to be living in.
Amazing. Totally.
These are the moments. Yeah. And when you hold on to that positivity through those dark nights of the soul, when I get tired. Yeah. I'm finding this difficult. I'm affected by the energies. No one's escaping from this.
I know.
Yeah.
Not one person on the planet.
No matter how much we know or we think we know, we get zapped. We're human beings first.
Yeah.
Spiritual beings, yeah, that are all connected in unity consciousness. And I think that we have to be like, you know, in our own truth, stay in our truth, in that place of love, in that place of you know, compassion and love to ourselves. And if people going to throw negativity at us, it's difficult to deal with. I get it. I hear you. Mm-hmm. Have faith in yourself. Because when I found things, just as on a sort of a closing note, that, you know, when I started, like, I grew a voice in this. Like I said, I'd never entered into any kind of debates on social media or engaged in the whole Brexit and, you know, all the things that were going on in sports or having any opinions about movies or anything like that. I was just so nonchalant about it all. It was like, you know, whatever, you know. But this is a truth movement, and it feels very natural to me. And suddenly I've grown a voice. And for me, somewhere there's a connection. And where there's a disconnect for people, we just have to people are waking up in huge numbers every single day. And from when I started to where we are now, it's amazing. It is amazing. So it's just reinforced the faith, the trust. And when I say the plan, I'm not just talking about the Q plan. I'm talking about the plan that he has.
Amen.
And there's no one more superior than my God, like God, our God, source, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So let's just
beautiful.
Keep that in alignment with ourselves.
It's beautiful. And just kind of going off that little riff there, you know, one of my favorite lessons from the Course is that only God's plan for salvation will work. So God's plan for salvation, though, is us. Like, we are the plan. Our awakening is the plan. And so when we start to wake up and we know that we're connected and that things that are happening that do not demonstrate our divinity are being taken down, that is a worthy cause to celebrate and to get behind. And it does cause discomfort, and it is difficult to realize how far from center we have gone from our Creator. What we do to the planet, what we do to the food, what we do to the children, what we do to each other, all of that will die away as we continue to step more and more into the knowingness of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
And
really
it's the
beautiful.
journey
It's a beautiful
home.
project.
This is going to open up so much for, like we talk about just, sorry, on a last
Please.
final part of it, that we talk about the earth, new earth, and everything that, like people like ourselves who have woken up and whatever sort of experiences we've had in our lives up to now is preparing us for the new earth, because we are entering into the age of Aquarian
Mm-hmm.
and Aquarius and or the golden age. There's so many different kind of connotations to this, but ultimately it represents truth and justice and revelation. And I think it was in one of your videos that you sent me, and it was like, oh my God, I was so aligned with that, because I've been saying that the whole year. But 2020 is what we aspire to have as 2020 vision when we go to the optician.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, unfortunately, I'm a minus 1.75 and a 2 on one halfway glasses. So I aspire to have 2020 vision. I don't want to go and wear contact lenses all my life and just got to up the carrot juice. But what
Or get in that
2020?
bed.
I know, I need to get in that, but I need to speak to Trump. I'm convinced I'm going to meet Trump. I just don't know.
I
I have
would
this
love
feeling.
that too.
I want to meet the guy. I love him. And I want to, a photo with him, and I want to put it on my fridge magnet. One of these, me and Trump.
I can't even believe myself. I'm like
I
shocked.
love him.
I have no idea.
I heart.
I'm like so in love. I can't even believe it. It's like, I can't believe this happened to me. But again, I knew it though. I knew he wasn't all bad. I remember saying to my dad, I was like, it's interesting. I kind of like that he's not from either party. I kind of, maybe he's, and then I got so programmed and out of it, but I was so grateful to come out of it, and so grateful.
No, and 2020 is the year for the 2020 vision. And I think you said something like that. So
I think I got it from Charlie Freak. I think, and also I love that. I think I love the understanding bit too, just to
understanding is my favorite. Yeah.
That just like blew my mind. I was like, yeah, I love that. Just understand something.
When he said that, I was like, you're my brother from another mother. I was be saying, Mum, but you don't understand me, Mum. It's just happening from inside. Then I listened to this guy called Charlie Freak with Mark Devlin, and he was talking about inner standings, and I'm like, that's my word. This is what I try to use when I'm trying to the word I use when I'm trying to explain that. Yeah, but I get it from the inside. It's Mum. It's an inner standing, and she's just looking at me like she doesn't get what I'm saying. But look, it's a journey, and it's an incredible journey, and I think we have to try and keep ourselves entertained anyway, and keep it light inside, and not keep it so heavy.
Yeah, totally. It's heavy stuff, and I think that that's what we're here to do, is to transmute it and to accept it, look at it with clear eyes and see through it, and decide that we don't want this anymore. We just don't.
No.
We don't want it. There's too many of us that are lovers anyway. We're lovers in the world. Nobody wants this craziness with the kids. I mean, I have 2 small children myself. There have been nights that I won't even let them walk to the bathroom. Like, we are in some of the safest place, I think, in the world right now. But there have been moments where we're in the state of Oaxaca, in Puerto Escondido, way south, and we're on the Pacific coast, and it's a beach town, and it's really beautiful. We've been here for 2 years, and so gratefully it's been like, being here has been like a preparation too, because being in the States right now, or even where you are in the UK, like, I can't imagine being in a place where organized society is the norm. I mean, here, we're kind of to each his own.
Chill.
Yeah, super, super chill. Like, yeah, we have dinner parties. We're kissing.
I'm getting tempted to do a recce out to Mexico.
Come.
I love the UK. I love London, but I always employ that outlook of gratitude. I've grown up here, and this has been home for me. But I have a longing to move, and to be somewhere which is much like around nature. Yeah. And that's the plan for me in the next few years, to just not be in the UK.
Well, you are so welcome. And there's so many opportunities too right now. I mean, Charlie Freak and Colleen are here. I'm in touch with them just a little bit online, but they're far from us. They're still like outside Mexico City, but there's something about Mexico that's there. I always say, especially within the state of Oaxaca, that there's still a lot of heart here. There's humanity. Like you walk down the
I
street and
love that.
someone gives you 3 words, like hola, buenos dias. Like you get 3 words, not just a curt, like, and you walk down in the city and it's like that. Like people like smile at each other, and that person probably has already had, a juice, a surf, like there's just a much chiller overall experience of being a human. And there's a lot of very interesting people that are coming here right now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Like lots of very, very cool people are coming, and we're kind of getting really excited because we're building our own kind of community. So this like idea of a new earth is actually very real for
Amazing.
us. We have friends that just bought a piece of property for like so little money and are going to build this whole thing. And like, we're talking huge property, oceanfront. And so we're looking at that as an opportunity as well. And it's very exciting. There's a lot of freedom here that I think we yearn for. We really do. Just
Awesome.
just being in
Dream.
it, so.
In nature, and when you're in like you described, organized societies in London is very busy. Although the sentiment in central London, I was there in Mayfair. That's where our offices are, and I felt very disconnected. I'm a London girl. I've always thought of myself as a city girl, but I'm so far from it.
Yeah.
I just because this is my left brain. Left brain was always assuming that, but my right brain was just never connecting, and to the whole thing about London. London's amazing. It's a vibrant city. There's so much great things going on, and I think just when I went yesterday, there was a big disconnect. I mean, I still love it. Don't get me wrong, I still love it, but I realized that okay, I've done enough time here now. I'm ready for a new chapter. I'm putting it out to the universe and let's see where this journey takes me.
We're going to pull you in over here. I'm going to be messaging you with like pictures of beautiful properties, beachfront.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
Really hot. Like I'm in an air conditioned place right now, but like, look, you barely wear any clothes. It's just too hot for clothes. Like
we're in autumn now. So it's been amazing, really, really enriching conversation, Marie. I will say namaste on a parting note, and thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Namaste. I feel so delighted as well, and we're in touch. We're in touch.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing this. Take care.
Thank you, sweetie. Bye for now. Namaste.
Bye-bye. Lots of love.
Lots of love to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.